Whenever I saw the Wuthering Waves community glazing the story quest, acting like it was some masterpiece made by the Chinese gods for the lowlifes of gacha players to enjoy, I'll be honest, I used to just roll my eyes and not believe it. I'd be like, there's no way it's that good. And it's true for the most part, because let's be real, sometimes the gacha community, they be hyping up absolute slop. But then the Frolova quest happened.
This game is so cruel, bro.
Going into the 3.1 updates, and when the community started glazing this new patch even harder, saying it was the best story quest they have ever told, better than 2.4, 2.5, and 2.7, I actually had expectations. Usually, when expectations go up, the experience goes down. I was hopeful, and thanks Solanly I did, because after finishing this quest live on stream, Kuro Games didn't just meet the bar, they absolutely shattered it for me. It was an absolutely spectacular experience. Or for the Punishing Gray Raven players that are watching, spectacular! So ladies and gentlemen and everyone in between, if you enjoy these kinds of deep dives where I do more analyzing than screaming, consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. It helps out more than you can ever imagine. Now without wasting more of your time, let's get into why I think Wuthering Waves' 3.1 main story quest is the best story quest the game has put out so far.
あなたのような救世主になりたい。
Back in version 3.0, our first real interaction with 𝗖cie𝗽𝗆𝗵𝗵, I will call her Amy from now on because it just rolls off the tongue, it's just simple. Our first real interaction was the boop on the nose, and at the time it felt like a standard gacha story fan service, you know? Oh, very cute girl, she has pink hair, she is very waifu. The things they do to make you open your wallet without actually giving you a reason to care about her as a character. But looking back after finishing the 3.1 story quest, that moment was actually something similar to a Trojan horse, like a trick where something looks like a gift from the outside, but it is actually carrying something dangerous, or in this case, depression and mental damage. Kuro used that cute innocent girl introduction to lower our guard for the trauma they were about to dropkick on us. They're gonna RKO us from nowhere, and we have no way of defending ourselves. You know, it was amazing, but at the same time, you Kuro Games. Moving into 3.1, the game takes its time, a slow burn. The story doesn't rush into the action, no, but it slowly builds the heats over time, like an egg being sat on by a chicken, and the egg hatches, and it's 𝗖cie𝗽𝗆𝗵𝗁. I'm sorry, I thought I was cooking with that metaphor. I don't know what's going on with me. For the first part of the story, we spent hours doing pretty mundane things with her. We learned about her double life as a singer, her hobbies, her friends, her colleagues that she left behind. It is like an intimate storytelling. It grounds the character in reality, so we as the players and the viewers can empathize better with her. It humanizes her in a way. I hope I'm making sense. But what's really interesting is the synergy between Rover and Amy. Even though our Rover has no memories and technically just met her, their bond didn't feel like a forced romance or waifu baiting. The typical gacha story has this instant waifu syndrome, where everyone loves you and adores you, head over heels for you, and you don't even know them. Instead, it felt like a wholesome rhythm, like two people who had already spent a long time together, a best friend, or as Amy liked to put it, study buddies. The story feels like they were just falling back into old habits after being separated for so long. Because Kuro committed to this really good pacing, the ending actually felt earned. We found out that before the memory wipe, we lived with her, we cared for her. Without that slow intentional buildup, her sacrifice wouldn't have had any weight, because they took the time to build the hope. The eventual break felt like a genuine loss, and that's why I see so much people in my timeline saying they cried. This is what made me stay up at 3 a.m. in the morning, thinking about why it affected me so much. This is the kind of story that made me want to become a better person. You know, for me, I bawled my eyes out so many times in this quest. I feel like a baby, bro. Oh, man. But anyways, about halfway through this quest, there was this moment where Rover tells Amy she doesn't always have to smile through the pain. I thought in my head like, wow, Rover saw through her. It's very deep, it's very meaningful, I'm sure, right? But it's also very cliche. The observant protagonist seeing the cracks in the mask, but around the end of the story, Kuro tables the turns, and we realized we had it backwards the entire time. You know, I thought we were the ones seeing through Amy, but actually, she was the one seeing through us, the Rover. And this isn't just current Amy, it goes all the way back to when she was just a child. In that dream sequence, young Amy says something that hit me like a truck in an isekai anime. This is what she told Rover. In a world where every faction, the Academy, the Black Shores, the Fraxidus, Jinzo, Rinasita, Septimons, Lahairoi, whatever, they look at Rover as this superhuman savior. And this little girl is the only one brave enough to look him in the eye, granting him the permission to be weak.
It's complicated. Too complicated for you right
Emotional damage mechanic? God damn it.
Then just pick a simpler way to say it. I'll listen really carefully.
In that same vein, we gotta talk about the Black Cat story. Amy says it's funny, laughable, but to me, it's one of the most heart-wrenching stories ever. Because why? Because I can relate to it. I can empathize with it so well. She describes Rover as a black cat, trapped in a cardboard box. To the people outside of the box, the cat is a legend, a messiah, or a pawn, a piece you sacrifice for the hopes of winning the game and getting what you want. But Amy isn't looking at the box from the outside. She is in there with the cat. She sees a tired, lonely animal that just wants to go home. Everyone else gets what they want, but what about the black cat? Funny story, she said. Laughable, she said. The game shows her laughing and crying at the same time. Because to Amy, it's ridiculous how Rover lets this happen to him. Like, why are you letting yourself get used? You get f***ed over without getting anything meaningful for your goals in return. It's laughable for sure, but it's very painful. Feeling like knowing the person you love is being taken for granted, and you're just there watching, not being able to do anything because it's their choice. Why? Why would you do that to yourself? I hate it. And for you who's watching, please know your worth. Very parasocial for me to say, I know, but I'm just looking out for you, okay? Doing all of this, she is giving him his humanity back. He doesn't have to be the arbiter. He doesn't have to be the Superman that saves the day. He doesn't have to be sacrificed for the greater good. He just has to be family. And that is why it hurts when in the end, we couldn't save Amy. She was the only one who actually saved us from the burden of being a hero. She is saying you don't have to do all that. The things that are painful for you. Let me be the one that gets sacrificed. Let me be the one that needs to die. Let me be the one who bears this pain. It's up. I love it. And I hate it at the same time. And this leads into the very amazing boss fight. 𝗖cie𝗽𝘆𝗶𝗵𝗵. The music for this fight is absolute cinema. It smacks harder than Gacha smack laughing at a tragic moment in the story, right? Visually, there is a part where the guy splits a whole ass planet for fun. Genuinely no reason for him to do that, right? Just to aura farm. Or maybe there is a reason for it and I just don't get it. You know, aura farming sounds exactly like what Rover would do, right? Wait a minute, that is Rover. Well, we find out that this boss is a manifestation of Amy's fears. It is basically born from her frequency being corrupted by the truth she was trying to hide. And while I think I could glaze the boss fight so much more, the real damage happens after the fight. Rover stops Amy from burying the truth. This is what she asked him. If he really wants to know the truth, even if it changes nothing, even if it only weighs him down. Rover knows that she is doing this for him, but he must know the truth. So she explains that in the void space, Amy found the remains of a satellite, and inside it, she found Rover's past. We find out that at one point, the original Rover was actually begging to go home. He was desperate. He just wants to see his homeland. He is homesick, and his request was denied. And not just denied, they didn't even consider it. The reason they gave is what makes it so disgusting. They told him his feelings were unnecessary. So Amy saw this and decided to lie to us, hide it from us. She saw that current Rover seemed lighter and happier without those memories, and she wanted to protect that peace. She was willing to carry the weight of his rejection all by herself so he wouldn't have to feel like a tool again. And then he drops the very iconic line,
I will be there for everyone as we head toward our shared future, leaving the past behind.
What used to be just idle dialogue became a sentence with so much meaning and story and emotions behind it. When Amy heard it, she just loses it, ugly crying, one of the most, if not the most, emotional moments in the game. It was incredible. The voice acting here, the music, the visuals, everything worked in harmony, making a lot of people cry, I assume. I mean, I was in awe. It was a great experience. And after the fight with 𝗖cie𝗽𝗆𝗵𝘁, Rover got their frequency back, Amy gets her full power, and we head back into the academy. It feels like we won. It's a victory. We watch Amy finally have her fan meeting because people can finally see her again. And like a proud parent, we watch her singing live on stage as 𝗖mě_𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆. The lyrics was nice, the song was nice, the atmosphere it created was great. After that, we see a montage of them doing all kinds of stuff together. Super cute, it's so wholesome, and it's just a really happy ending to a really good story. Or at least that's what we thought. We enter a dream sequence where we are suddenly trapped inside the 𝗖mě_𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆. suits. We can't move and we can't speak. We are forced to just sit there and listen as Amy explains the truth. Apparently, she found a message in the reactor drive from her future self. She realized that the only reason the city of 𝗖ญ่_𝗿𝗏 survived the original attack from Aleph 1 is because she was there to seal it. But Amy wasn't there yet. She realized she had to turn back time and sacrifice her existence to become the very person who saves the city in the past. She has to die so that the city survives, so that Rover can arrive, save her younger self, and start the whole journey again. We find out that Amy wasn't singing because she loved the stage. She wasn't hanging out at the academy because she cared about the studies. She didn't care about hobbies. She didn't care about anything. She didn't do this because she wanted to be a hero. She tells us straight up that she doesn't care about the world or the mission. She only cares about Rover. She chose this nightmare-ish loop specifically to protect us. She knew exactly what she had to do next, but she wanted one last memory of being a family before she left. Rover wakes up and realizes what's happening, immediately going to the lake in Roya Frostlands. And what we are seeing, it feels like a desperate, tragic competition where both people are trying to be the one to give up their life so that the other person doesn't have to. This whole segment of the story is just straight up cruel. You were never meant to win that race. There is nothing you can do. The loop is complete. It is going as planned. The ending concludes exactly how it started back in 3.0 with a boop on the nose. And you know, the first time it was cute, a throwaway gesture to sell a character, I guess. But this time, it's farewell. It is a daughter's final goodbye to her parents, sealing a loop that keeps the world spinning for us, even if it keeps her trapped on the other side of that gate. We see her fighting through in pain, despite everything, all the pain and pressure. All that is to show her love for her parents. It is an incredibly tragic story. I mean, I bawled my eyes out live on stream again. A lot of people do. It's been a few days since I've played the story, and genuinely, I'm not able to move on. It's because you can really feel the genuinity of their bond somehow. But if you needed any more proof that this bond was real, you just have to look at the room. This is one of the most important details the devs included, and it's hidden in the environment. If you go back to your cabin in the Roya Frostlands after the quest, you can interact with the shelves and find the parenting books. It is an incredible piece of flavor text. These books are a testament to who Rover actually is. Here, it proves that the mighty Rover, the savior of worlds, the arbiter, the leader of the Black Shores, is just a guy. Like, of course he's a hero, but for Amy, he really is just a guy. This grounds him completely. It shows that he wanted to learn how to be a good father or a mother, and how to help a child move on from past traumas. It shows that before or after the memory wipe, the DNA of Rover stays the same. He isn't a tool, and he isn't a god. He is just someone who cares. But funnily enough, or not so funnily at all, this parenting thing leads to a brutal situation. There is a meme in the community that sums it up perfectly. Pros, she grew up to be just like Rover. Cons, she grew up to be just like Rover. It is a wholesome but also brutal. You thought her to be brave, you thought her to protect the world, and now she is using those exact lessons to leave you behind. She followed your example so well that she became willing to sacrifice herself just like you would. It is a hard pill to swallow when you realize your own success as a parent is the very thing causing your heartbreak. But while the story hits like a disappointed Asian parent, we have to talk about how it actually feels to play through the story quest itself. At the end of the day, this is still a game. If you just wanted to watch, you'd watch an anime. Luckily, the gameplay in 3.1 did a fantastic job of keeping me engaged. The platforming segments were excellent. It's active, dynamic, visually full of energy. It felt like I was playing It Takes Two. And and my duo was Amy. She handles the hacking and providing the platforms while I'm jumping and sliding through the environment. I rarely praise these things because usually they're just fluff, right? Like filler used to extend your playtime. But here, it felt meaningful. It felt engaging. It's great. The audio work was doing hella heavy lifting too. The OST amplified the emotional suffocation. Like legit, I have no idea what other words to use. I feel emotionally suffocated by it. You know, before this quest, I thought Wuthering Waves was a action game, action anime game. Now tell me why I'm receiving emotional damage. How am I supposed to counter that? How am I supposed to parry this? It's bullshit. The voice acting was also very amazing. Rover as parents had a more motherly or fatherly grounded tone that made them feel more human. And no, I'm not talking about the mommy or daddy ASMR voice actors. I'm saying like you could really hear the genuine parental care. And people are widely praising this too. You see people genuinely impressed by the Rover's voice work this patch. But still, there are some criticisms I would like to give. I have to talk about this weird blinking the character models are doing. It looks so off-putting that it became immersion breaking for me. When you have a scene trying so hard to be serious, seeing their eyes glitch out weirdly just feels like ugh, you know? It's the same issue I had with Amy's English voice acting. But this is only a problem in some of the scenes where she is having a mental breakdown.
Saving the world.
Okay.
Nothing but a pair of shackles.
It's lacking like messy, shaky instability. You know, I mean, come on. You can see visually she's losing her mind. And all we're getting is like, heh. I mean, it should be raw. The person is in total despair. But what we're seeing is completely different from what we are hearing. It is hard to fully lose yourself in a tragedy when the person crying doesn't sound like they have actually lost anything. Does that make sense? And so I searched up a JP dub playthrough of it. And I must say, this part in particular, straight up better than the EN one.
世界を救うなんて全部が重すぎる枷ね
But again, the criticism I have for the voice acting is just for this scene. It doesn't make the rest of the story quest bad because of it. Don't worry, but it bothered me enough to make me talk about it, you know? If I'm going to give a numerical review on it, I'm giving Wuthering Waves 3.1 a 9.9999999999999 out of 10. And now why not a perfect 10? Mostly because of those issues I mentioned earlier, right? The character models weirdly blinking, and those specific moments where the English vocal delivery couldn't quite catch the vibes of the animation. But honestly, everything else about this quest was a straight up masterpiece. It was a fantastic journey. 10 toes down with all of my heart, I'm dead ass. But I'll be honest with you, this quest broke me. It has been days since I finished it, and I'm still not able to move on. I keep going back to the scenes in my head, thinking about how both Rover and Amy were racing each other to sacrifice themselves so the other person doesn't have to. And once again, 𝗼𝗄 Games proved that they're not afraid to hurt the player to tell a better story. They chose real feelings over a safe, always winning story. And that is a massive win for the gacha genre. I mean, at this point, I think that the devs at 𝗼𝗄 Games might be sadists. They love seeing us cry, bro. They made us believe in the hope, the singing, the family dynamic, specifically so the inevitable sacrifice would deliver mental depression. I went into this expecting the usual community glaze, but I came out of it wanting to become a better person, bro. And I think that is saying a lot for a guy like me. Another thing is that for the longest time, the biggest critique of this game was its aimlessness. We were just wandering from region to region because people in the game ask us to. 3.1 changed that. It turned Rover from a guide of civilization into a father. There is finally a reason for his journey and a long-term goal when you consider that this homeland Rover came from could be something to explore in later versions of the game. But hey, that is just my deep dive. I want to know how you guys handled the emotional damage. Did the voice acting inconsistencies pull you out of it, or was the writing strong enough to make you overlook the glitches? And more importantly, did you find the parenting books, or are you just finding out about them now? Let me know in the comments below. This is 𝗖cie𝗽𝗆𝗆, and I will see you in the next one. Boop! Cheers.